Every day, a roadside food seller gave a homeless little boy food from her small shop. She never asked for anything. She did not know his story. But one quiet morning, something strange happened. 4 big SUVs stopped right in front of her shop, and her whole life changed in a way she never expected. Who were the people in those SUVs, and what was the boy's true connection to them? Sit back and find out as we delve into this touching story. In a quiet corner of Abuja, far from the busy roads and fine houses, a small boy walked alone. His name was Austin. He was only 6 years old, but life had already made him feel like an adult. Every morning, before the sun rose fully, he stepped out of the unfinished building where he lived with his mother. He would whisper to himself, "I must find food today. Mommy needs to eat." Austin's mother, Vivian, lay weak inside a small, rough room they made for themselves in an unfinished building. She was fighting kidney disease, and some days she couldn't even lift her head. Still, every time Austin stepped out, she tried to smile. "Austin," she whispered softly, "please be careful and come home early." "I will, Mommy." Austin would always reply, holding her hand for a few seconds before going out. But life had not always been this difficult. Years before he was born, it was different. Vivian had once been a cheerful young woman. She owned a small provision shop, a business she started right after graduating from university. She sold rice beans, milk bread, and small snacks. Her shop helped her pay her bills and gave her hope for a bright future. Back then, she was also in love. The man's name was Gabriel. They met in school. He was smart, gentle, and full of dreams. He wanted to travel abroad to get his master's degree. He even got a scholarship, but he didn't have money to process his travel documents. Vivian believed in him so much that she used almost all her savings to support him. She told him, "Gabriel, don't worry. One day everything will work out." He always replied, "Thank you, Vivian. I promise I will make you proud." When Gabriel finally got the money he needed, he traveled abroad. They called each other every day. Vivian would laugh when she heard his voice. She was sure their future was bright. But then, something changed. 2 weeks after he arrived abroad, his calls suddenly stopped. Vivian tried calling him again and again. She worried, she cried, she prayed. "Why can't I reach him?" she kept asking herself. No answer came. Then, in another 2 weeks, she started noticing some changes in her body. She felt weak. She felt sick. She felt different. She went to the hospital and the doctor told her she was pregnant. Vivian stared at the doctor. "Pregnant?" she whispered. How will I take care of this child alone?" But she made her choice. She kept the pregnancy. And months later, she gave birth to a boy. She named him Austin. As Austin grew, he became a bright, happy child. When he started kindergarten, Vivian worked hard to pay his school fees and bought him small toys whenever she could. They weren't rich, but they were happy. Then everything fell apart again. When Austin turned 4, Vivian started feeling very tired. At first, she thought it was stress, but it got worse. Her legs felt heavy. Her stomach felt weak. Sometimes she felt like she would fall. One morning, Vivian tried to stand up and get a little water, but her legs were too weak and she almost fell. Austin quickly grabbed her clothes with his tiny hands. "Mommy, what's wrong?" Austin asked, his eyes wide. Vivian forced a small smile. "Sorry, dear. Mommy's just tired. Don't mind me." Austin looked at her confused, but worried. "Mommy, sit down," he said softly. But deep down, Vivian knew something was wrong. She went to the hospital. After many tests, the doctor sat with her. "Vivian," he said gently, "you have kidney failure. You need a transplant, and until then you need dialysis 2 times a week." Vivian felt tears in her eyes. "How much will all this cost, doctor?" she asked. The doctor a lot and you must travel abroad for the transplant. Vivian tried. She tried with everything she had, but dialysis was too expensive. Slowly, within the space of 2 years, her savings disappeared. She sold her freezer. She sold her small furniture. Even after all that, it was not enough. She could not pay rent anymore. She could not pay Austin's school fees, so he had to stop school. She and Austin were forced to leave their house. She cried as she carried her son out of the place they once called home. They moved into a small, dusty corner of an unfinished building. She cleaned it the best she could and made it their new home. Now, with no shop and no money left, with Vivian lying helpless on the floor at home, Austin, only 6 years old, had no choice but to walk the streets every day begging, hoping someone would give him a little money or food to take home. One morning, as he walked with his tiny feet under the hot sun, he held his small stomach and whispered, "Mommy must not go hungry today. I must find something. Anything." Austin kept walking slowly along the busy roadside. Cars and bikes passed beside him. He moved carefully, looking left and right. He walked up to a woman holding a nylon bag. "Auntie, please, small help," he said softly. The woman looked at him for 1 second, then shook her head and walked away. Austin swallowed hard and tried again. He stepped toward a man buying something from a roadside stall. "Sir, please, I am hungry." The man waved him off without even turning. Austin's small heart squeezed in pain, but he kept walking. He tried another person. "Please, Auntie," but she only frowned and said, "I don't have," before walking away. Some people ignored him like he wasn't even there. Some stared at him with pity, but still walked past without giving anything. Each rejection felt heavy. He looked down at his feet as he walked. He felt tired, sad, and alone, but he did not stop. He whispered to himself, "Mommy must eat. I must find something." So he wiped his eyes with the back of his hand, took another small step, and kept going. After a short while, he saw a small local roadside food shop. It was a clean and modest place, with smoke rising from a small pot outside. The sweet smell of food made his stomach growl even more. He walked closer, step by step, almost as if he was afraid someone would chase him away. Beside the shop, he saw a small wooden bench. Austin sat on it gently. He placed his hands on his tiny knees. His eyes watched the people passing by. He did not say a word. He only hoped and waited. But unknown to him, his life was about to change in a way he never imagined. And someone somewhere was about to notice him. Inside the small roadside food shop, Nora moved from one table to the other. The shop was hers, a tiny place she had made with her own hands. It wasn't big and it wasn't fancy, but it was the only thing she had. This shop was her means of survival. She wiped plates. She served hot food. She greeted her customers with a small smile, even when she felt tired. She was only 25, but she had many heavy responsibilities on her shoulders. Her rent had increased, her savings were too small, and she wanted to go back to school one day. Every day she worked, she told herself, "Nora, don't give up. Keep trying." After the morning rush ended, she stood outside with a bowl of soapy water and began washing plates. As she washed, something caught her eye. A little boy was sitting alone on the small bench beside her shop. His legs were thin. His clothes looked old. But what stopped Nora was his face. His eyes looked tired yet innocent, almost too quiet for a child. Nora paused. "Who is this boy?" she whispered to herself. She dropped the plate into the bowl and slowly walked toward him. When she reached him, she bent a little, trying to meet his eyes. "Hello?" she said gently. "My name is Nora." "What is your name?" The boy looked up slowly. "Austin," he said in a soft voice. Nora gave a small smile. "Austin, why are you sitting here alone? Are you waiting for someone?" Austin looked down at his small hands. He rubbed his fingers together. Then he said quietly, I'm hungry." Nora's eyes softened the moment she heard those words. She looked at the boy with pity. Something about him felt deeper than hunger. It felt like he was hiding a painful truth, but she could see he was truly starving. Without asking more questions, she stood up quickly and walked inside her shop. "Let me get him something to eat," she whispered to herself. She scooped some warm food into a plate and brought it outside. "Here, Austin," she said gently. "Eat first." Austin's face brightened a little. "Thank you, Auntie," he said, his voice full of gratitude. But instead of eating, Austin lifted his head and asked softly, "Auntie, please, do you have nylon or small pack?" Nora paused. His request surprised her. "Why?" she asked. Austin held the plate close to his chest and said quietly, "I want to take it home." Nora's heart tightened again. She did not understand anything yet, but she knew the boy was telling the truth. She brushed off her shock and went inside to get a food pack. She returned, repacked the food for him, and tied it gently. "Here you go," she said. "Hold it well." Austin took the nylon carefully, almost as if he was holding something precious. "Thank you, Auntie." "Thank you," he said again. Then, without warning, he turned and ran off with a sudden urgency on his face. Nora watched him from the doorway, confused. Why is he in such a hurry? She wondered. What is this boy hiding? Something about Austin did not leave her mind. And from that moment, she knew this little boy's story was far from ordinary. Austin ran as fast as his small legs could carry him. When he reached the unfinished building, he slipped inside and closed the wooden board they used as a door. "Mommy, I'm back," he whispered. Vivian lay on the thin mat in the corner. Her eyes were half open. She did not even have the strength to lift her head. Austin placed the food gently on the mat. Then he rushed to the plastic plates beside the wall. His small hands shook a little as he washed one plate with a little water, trying his best to make it clean. He scooped some food into the plate and carried it carefully to his mother. "Mommy, please eat," he said softly. Vivian looked at him with weak eyes. She wanted to speak, but her voice failed her. She had not eaten since the day before. Her hands were too weak to lift the spoon, so Austin knelt beside her and began to feed her little by little. He lifted each spoon slowly. He watched her mouth closely. He waited for her to swallow before giving her another. Vivian managed to whisper, "Thank you, my son." Austin nodded. "Mommy, eat some more, please." When she had eaten enough, he gave her a little water, guiding the cup to her lips so she would not spill it. Then he took a tiny cloth and wiped her mouth gently the same way she used to wipe his when he was younger. After taking care of her, he served his own food. He did not sit on the mat. Instead, he went to the other side of the small room and sat on the bare floor. He ate slowly, his eyes fixed on the open window. He missed school. He missed learning. He missed running with other children. But ever since his mother fell sick, there was no money for school fees. He had to stop going. He had to grow up too fast. Later in the evening, Vivian's strength returned a little. She turned her head toward him. "Austin," she said softly, "where did you get the food?" Austin sat beside her and held the nylon gently. "Mommy, I saw a small food shop by the road. I sat on the bench there because I was tired. One auntie came out. Her name is Auntie Nora. She saw me and asked my name. I told her I was hungry and she went inside and brought food for me." Vivian blinked slowly. "Nora," she whispered, "you don't know her before." "No, Mommy. I don't know her. She just helped me. She gave me food, and I told her I want to take it home, so she packed it for me." Vivian's eyes filled with tears. "God bless her," she whispered. "May God lift her up. May she never suffer. May she never lack." Austin looked at her quietly. Her tears made his small heart squeeze in pain. He crawled close and wrapped his arms around her. Vivian held her weakly. "Mommy," Austin whispered, "don't cry. I am here." They held each other like that mother and son in the quiet room until their eyes closed slowly, and together they fell asleep. Later that evening, Nora walked into her small room after a long and stressful day at the shop. She dropped her bag on the wooden chair and sat down with a tired sigh. Her legs hurt, her back ached, but she still reached for her bag again and brought out the few notes she made that day. She pulled a big saving box from beside her shelf. It was old and had a tiny opening at the top. She slipped the money inside one note at a time. As the notes dropped inside the box, she whispered, "Please grow. Please grow." She needed the money. Her rent was high. Her school plans were waiting. Her life was not standing still, but her wallet was. When she finished, she pushed the wooden piggy box back into its corner and lay down on her thin mattress. She stared at the ceiling quietly. The room was hot, and the bulb flickered weakly. Her mind filled with thoughts. How will I pay rent next month? When will I have enough to go back to school? Why is life like this? Her eyes became wet. She wiped her face with the back of her hand and forced herself to breathe slowly. Then, suddenly, she remembered something that made her pause. Austin. She thought of the little boy who sat at her shop earlier that day. His small hands, his quiet voice, and especially his eyes. Eyes that looked like they carried a sad secret. Nora sat up a little. "That child is hiding something," she whispered. "Something he is afraid to say." She remembered how he asked for a nylon to take food home. She remembered how he ran off so fast. And she remembered how thin he looked. She wondered, he is too small to be walking alone like that. She lay back slowly, her mind still on Austin. A small smile touched her lips. "At least I helped him today," she said softly. "I hope he is fine." She hoped he would come again. She hoped to ask him questions. She hoped to understand what he was passing through. As these thoughts filled her heart, her eyes became heavy. Nora turned to one side, hugged her pillow, and let sleep pull her in. Early the next morning, Austin stepped out of the unfinished building again. His clothes were the same, his stomach was empty. His eyes looked tired, but he still whispered to himself, "I must find food for me and Mommy." He began walking by the roadside, moving from one person to another. "Please, Auntie, help me with some money," he said to a woman carrying a handbag. She looked at him from head to toe and frowned. "Go away," she snapped, waving her hand. Austin moved to a man beside a parked car. "Sir, please help me with food." The man did not even look at him. He opened his car door and drove off. Austin walked to another man. "Please, Uncle, I am hungry." "I don't have," the man said sharply. Some people ignored him. Some chased him away. Some looked at him with disgust as if he was dirt. A few stared at him with pity, but still walked past without giving anything. Austin felt used to it, but that did not stop the pain. His tiny feet were hot. His throat felt dry. His heart felt heavy. But he kept going. He had to get something for his mother. He could not return empty-handed. Meanwhile, back at the roadside food shop, Nora was busy serving customers. She moved from table to table carrying plates. But every few minutes, her eyes went to the road. "Is he coming today?" she wondered. "Where is that little boy?" She tried to focus on her work, but her mind kept wandering. "I hope he is safe." The day grew longer. The sun moved higher. Customers came and left. Still no sign of Austin. As evening approached, Austin walked slowly along the dusty road. He had been out all day, and he had gotten nothing, not even a tiny coin. His heart felt weak. His legs felt heavy. He wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He whispered to himself, "Mommy will be waiting and I have nothing." He stopped walking for a moment. Then something flashed in his mind. Nora, the kind woman from yesterday, the one who gave him food without shouting or chasing him away. Austin looked up at the sky as if thinking deeply. "Should I go there again?" he whispered. He was not sure. He did not want to trouble her. He did not know if she would help him again. But he had no choice. He turned his small body towards Nora's shop. Step by step, weak but hopeful, he began to walk in her direction, and with each tiny step he prayed quietly. Please let her be there. Please. He did not know it, but Nora had been waiting for him too. Austin dragged his tired body along the road, taking slow, weak steps. His stomach was empty. His eyes were dull. When he reached the small roadside food shop, he tried to act normal. He pretended he was just walking past, looking around as if he came for nothing. He stood near the corner, hoping she would notice him. Nora was wiping a table when her eyes caught a small shadow moving outside. She looked up, and there he was. "Austin," she called out gently. Austin turned slowly and walked toward her. His heart felt warm just hearing her voice. "Good evening, Auntie," he said with a tiny smile. Nora bent a little so she could see his face clearly. "Austin, I did not see you since morning." "Where did you go?" she asked. Austin shifted on his feet. He looked down at his fingers. I was walking around," he said quietly. "I was begging to see if someone will help me. I wanted to get something for me and for my mother." Nora's face softened. "Your mommy," she repeated. "Is she okay?" Austin shook his head slowly. "No, Auntie, she is not. She cannot walk well. She is always tired. She is very sick." Nora's heart tightened. "What kind of sickness?" she asked gently. Austin swallowed hard. "She cannot stand for long. She lies down every day. The doctor said she needs treatment." He paused, then added softly, "We don't have money for anything." Nora felt a deep pain in her heart. She placed her hand on his small shoulder. "Austin, listen to me," she said. "You don't need to walk around like this every day. Come here every day. I will keep food for you." Austin looked up quickly, surprised. "Every day?" he asked. "Yes," Nora said firmly. "Every single day. I don't have much, but I will not let you and your mommy starve." Austin's eyes softened. "Thank you, Auntie. Thank you." "Wait here," Nora said. She walked into her shop and scooped some rice into 2 nylon bags, one for Austin and one for his mother. When she returned, she bent down and handed him the food. "Hold it well," she said. Austin held the nylons tightly. "Thank you," he whispered again. Nora looked at him closely. His face was too thin. His lips looked dry. She realized he had not eaten anything all day. "You cannot go home like this," she said. "Sit down." Austin blinked. "But Auntie—" "No," she interrupted softly. "Sit. You need food now." She went inside again and came out with her own plate. The food she had planned to eat for dinner. She placed it in front of him. "Eat," she said gently. "You are just a child. Your body needs strength." Austin looked at her with wide eyes. Then he sat slowly and began to eat. He took small bites as if he didn't want the food to finish. Nora watched him silently, her heart breaking for him. As he ate, she whispered in her mind, "What kind of life is this little boy living?" And for the first time, she understood something. Austin didn't just need food. He needed someone who cared. And without knowing it, Nora was becoming that person. Austin walked home with the 2 nylon bags held tightly in his small hands. The road was quiet. His legs were tired, but his heart felt light because he had something good to bring back to his mother. When he reached the small room, he pushed the board door open gently. "Mommy, I'm back," he said. Vivian lifted her head slowly. "Austin, welcome," she whispered. Austin nodded quickly and placed the 2 nylon bags beside her. "Mommy, look. Auntie Nora helped me again. She said I can come every day." Vivian blinked in surprise. "Auntie who?" "Auntie Nora," Austin said. "The woman at the food shop. She gave me food again, Mommy. She said I should not walk around begging. She said I should come to her every day." Vivian's eyes filled with tears. "Come close, my son," she said. Austin moved near her and she held his tiny hand. "May God bless that woman," Vivian prayed softly. "May her life be full of light. She has helped us even though she does not know us." Austin smiled and sat beside her. "We will eat this tonight," Vivian said, pointing at one of the nylons. "The other one we will keep for tomorrow morning." They both ate quietly, grateful for every bite. After eating, Vivian leaned back on her mat, still weak but comforted. "Austin," she said softly. "This woman, this Nora, she must be a kind person." Austin wadded. "She is Mommy. She talks to me nice. She looks at me like she cares." Vivian smiled sadly. "You deserve care, my son." On the other side of the city, at that same time, Nora sat on her bed. The room was dark except for one small bulb. She hugged her pillow and stared at the ceiling. She thought about Austin again. His thin hands, his quiet voice, his tired eyes. She felt something heavy in her heart. "How can a child carry so much pain?" she whispered. She remembered the way he ate the food she gave him. She remembered how he spoke about his mother. She remembered how he tried to hide his sadness. Nora sighed deeply. "I wish I could do more," she said. "I wish I could help them better." Slowly, she realized she was no longer thinking about her rent or her school fees or her savings. All her worries faded into the background. Tonight, her heart worried only about Austin, and she had no idea that the small kindness she showed was about to lead her into a story she never planned for. 3 weeks passed quietly, and in those 3 weeks, Austin came to Nora's shop almost every day. Each morning, he walked in with his small smile, and each day, Nora gave him food just as she promised. Sometimes it was rice, sometimes it was beans, sometimes it was whatever she had for the day, but she always made sure he never left empty-handed. As days went by, Nora began talking to him more. She asked him small questions. "Austin, how was your night? Did your mommy eat well? Are you feeling fine today?" And Austin answered her with honesty because she made him feel safe. Soon he started helping in the shop. When Nora tried to wash a pile of plates, Austin would walk closer and say, "Auntie, let me help." Nora always shook her head. "No, Austin, you are just a child. Go and sit." But Austin would insist, "Auntie, I want to help you. You help me too." Before she knew it, he would already be washing one plate after the other with his small hands. Nora always smiled and said, "You are stubborn, you know." And Austin would giggle quietly. Slowly, Nora became more than a helper to Austin. She became someone he trusted, someone he could talk to, someone who made him feel seen. Every evening when he got home, he sat beside his mother and told her everything. "Mommy, today, Auntie Nora gave me jollof rice. Mommy, I washed her plates today. Mommy, Auntie Nora is kind." Vivian listened with soft eyes. "God bless that woman," she always said. "She is a gift to us." One afternoon, as Nora handed Austin another food pack, she bent down and asked, "Austin, can I meet your mommy one day? I want to see her. I want to know how she's doing." Austin blinked in surprise. "You want to come to my house?" "Yes. Nora said with a warm smile. Only if she agrees I want to visit her. That evening, Austin ran home quickly. Mommy, Auntie Nora wants to see you. She wants to come to our house. Vivian was shocked at first. Me? She asked. Why? She wants to know how you're doing. She wants to see you. Vivian smiled slowly. Tell her she can come. I would love to meet the woman feeding my child. Austin nodded happily. 2 days later, Nora closed her shop earlier than usual. She wore a simple dress, packed a little extra food and a small nylon bag, and waited for Austin to finish sweeping the small corner he liked to sweep. Ready? She asked. Yes, Auntie, he replied, holding her hand. They walked together through the dusty road. Nora's heart beat fast. She did not know what to expect. When they reached the unfinished building, Nora stepped inside gently. The room was dim and small. Vivian lay on a thin mat, her face tired but warm. Good evening, ma'am, she said softly as she walked in. Vivian smiled weakly. You must be the Nora my son talks about. Yes, ma'am, she replied with a humble bow. I brought a little food. I hope it helps. Vivian's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. Thank you for taking care of us. Nora sat beside her, holding her hand. He is a good boy, and I will keep helping him. You are not alone. For the first time in a long time, Vivian felt hope wash over her, and Nora felt something deeper pulling her toward this family. 2 weeks later, far away from the country, a handsome man sat quietly inside his luxurious private jet with a glass of wine in his hand. The soft lights inside the jet made his face glow, but his eyes looked far away, lost in deep thought. That man was Gabriel. His clothes were expensive. His wristwatch shone brightly. Everything about him showed that he had become very rich and powerful. But his heart was not at peace. He stared out of the cabin window as clouds passed by beneath the jet. A small sigh left his lips. I am finally going back home, he whispered to himself. Gabriel was now the co-founder of a big international tech company. He and his team had created a very popular software application that was now worth billions of dollars. And now he was returning to the country. There was someone he had been thinking about for years. Someone he never forgot. Someone who gave him love when he had nothing. Someone who helped him when he was nobody. Vivian. He touched his chest lightly as memories of her filled his mind. Vivian. I hope you are okay, he said softly. Back then, when he traveled abroad, his first days were good. He and Vivian talked every day. But then, something terrible happened. His phone got stolen. He lost all his contacts. I am sorry, Vivian. I tried to find a way to reach you. He looked at his wine glass and sighed again. I just want to see her again. I hope she did not give up on me. I hope she waited. He closed his eyes for a moment, holding on to the thought of her smile, her voice, the love they shared. What he did not know was that Vivian was fighting to survive, living in an unfinished building. As he sat inside the jet, thinking about Vivian and their past, the plane landed slowly at the Abuja airport. As he stepped out, an SUV accompanied by 3 private security trucks was already waiting to take him to a hotel. Austin kept going to Nora's shop every day. He helped her sweep the front. He washed small plates. And every time he did something, Nora smiled and said, Austin, you are such a good boy. Austin smiled more now. His eyes looked brighter than before. His steps were lighter. He laughed sometimes, something he had not done in a long time. At home, Vivian noticed the change. Her weak face softened each time he walked in. Mommy, today, Auntie Nora taught me a new song. Mommy, she said I am brave. Mommy, she told me a story. Vivian listened and smiled. Even though her body was weak, her heart was hopeful again. Some weekends, Nora would leave her shop early and visit them. She brought small things, fruits, biscuits, and food. Every visit felt like light entering their dark little room. Vivian began feeling less lonely. Her pain was still there. Her sickness was still there, but now she had someone who cared, someone who talked to her like she mattered. One afternoon, Nora sat outside their room telling Austin a story. Austin listened with full attention, then ran inside later to tell Vivian every word. Vivian smiled at his excitement. None of them knew that not too far away in the city, Vivian's long-lost lover was back in the country searching for her. After a week in the country, Gabriel finally began tracing Vivian's steps. He returned to the old place where they once lived together. He walked through the compound slowly, looking around, hoping for a familiar face. An elderly woman sitting on a wooden stool looked up and froze. "Gabriel," she said with surprise. "Is that you?" Gabriel turned quickly. Yes, Ma, you remember me." "Of course," she replied. "You lived here with Vivian." Gabriel stepped closer, his heart pounding. "Mama, please. I came to look for her. Do you know where she is now?" The elderly woman sighed deeply. "My son you left, and shortly after Vivian found out she was pregnant." Gabriel's eyes widened. "Pregnant?" he whispered. "Yes," the woman said. "She had a child, a boy, but then she became sick, very sick. She could not pay for anything anymore. One day, she packed her things and left. Nobody knows where she went." Gabriel swallowed hard. Her words hit him like a heavy stone. Vivian had a child, a son, his son. He held his head for a moment, trying to breathe. "So she left with the child?" he asked quietly. "Yes," the woman replied. "And she did not tell anyone where she went." Gabriel looked away, his eyes wet. "Vivian, you suffered alone." He turned back to the elderly woman, his voice filled with new strength. "Thank you, Ma. Thank you for telling me. I must find her. I must find both of them." The elderly woman nodded sadly. "I hope you do, my son." Gabriel walked back to his car slowly, his chest heavy but his mind made up. He was no longer searching for a woman he once loved. He was searching for his family, his Vivian, his son, and he would not stop until he found them. One evening, Gabriel sat in the large living room of the mansion he had bought in a choice location in the city. Worry was written all over his face. He picked up his phone and called his driver. "Have you checked all the places I asked you to?" Gabriel asked. "Yes, sir," the driver replied. "Every single one, but nobody knows a woman named Vivi." Gabriel closed his eyes for a moment. He imagined Vivian and the child he never knew. He imagined the suffering they must have passed through alone, with no help, with no support. The thought of Vivian struggling, and the thought of his own son suffering somewhere in the city, made him think about how many other people were going through the same pain. How many more mothers are sick like Vivian? He wondered. How many children are suffering like my son? And right there, Gabriel made a decision. If he could not find Vivian yet, he would at least help people like her. Then he told his driver, "Look for local hospitals in the remote parts of the city. I want to make donations for sick people." His driver replied immediately, "Right away, sir." The next morning, Gabriel's phone beeped with a message. His driver had sent him the address of a small hospital hidden far inside a remote area. Gabriel stood up, grabbed his jacket, and headed outside. His black SUV and the 3 security trucks were already waiting for him. His driver opened the door gently. He stepped in and they drove off. Soon they reached a rough, dusty roads with old buildings on both sides. Gabriel looked outside the window inside. "This place is far," he whispered. "People here must be suffering." Suddenly, his stomach made a small sound. He realized he was hungry, but they were too deep inside the remote area. No beautiful restaurant in sight. He was running out of options. Then he saw it. A small but neat local roadside food shop. Smoke was rising from the pot outside. A wooden bench sat by the entrance. It was simple, but it looked clean. "Stop here," Gabriel said. All 4 vehicles halted in front of the small shop. His driver came down quickly and opened the door for him. He stepped in, but before he could walk in, something caught his eye. A small boy, thin, quiet, focused. He was washing plates beside the shop with his tiny hands. The soap water splashed on his shorts, but he didn't mind. He washed each plate with care. Gabriel watched them closely. His careful way of washing the plate, the slow, serious look on his face, it took Gabriel back to his own childhood. This made him smile and also made him curious about the boy. He slowly walked toward him. "What is your name, young boy?" Gabriel asked gently. The child looked up. "Austin," he replied. Gabriel nodded slowly. "Austin, nice name." Before Gabriel could say anything else, a young woman walked toward them. It was Nora. "Good afternoon, sir," Nora said politely. "Welcome. What would you like to buy?" Gabriel looked at her for a moment, then looked back at Austin. Something about the boy pulled his attention. His eyes were bright, but his face was too serious for a child. And yet he kept washing plates with so much focus. Gabriel felt a sudden curiosity rise inside his chest. "Madam, may I ask why this boy is not in school? Today is Monday, and it is almost afternoon already." Nora paused. Her smile faded a little as she glanced at Austin with sad eyes. "He is not in school because things are hard for him. His mother is very sick. She cannot work. They cannot afford school fees." Gabriel looked back at Austin again, and something inside him shifted. A slow, deep compassion filled his heart. His original plan flashed in his mind. He came to donate to the sick. Maybe this was where he needed to start. "Can I see your mother?" Gabriel asked softly. Nora stepped forward a little, her eyes narrowing with caution. "Sir, why do you want to see her? I need to know. I cannot just let anyone follow this boy home. I must be sure your reason is safe." Gabriel nodded gently, understanding her worry. "I respect that. I'm not here to harm anyone. I came to this area because I'm planning to donate to sick people in the local hospitals. I want to help families who are suffering. When you told me Austin's mother is very sick, I thought maybe I could help her too." Nora looked at him again, this time with a softer expression. "Okay," she said slowly. "If your reason is to help, then you can come with us. His house is not far." Gabriel signaled to his driver. Nora quickly locked her shop, then held Austin's hand as they entered one of the vehicles, and they all drove. They drove through narrow paths. Finally, they reached a small broken building. "This is where we stay," Austin said. Gabriel's chest tightened. He took a slow step inside the building, and when he entered the small room, he froze. His mouth opened slightly. His hands fell by his sides. His heart stopped for a moment. Lying on a thin mat, weak, very tired, struggling to breathe, was the woman he had been searching for all these years. The woman he loved, Vivian. Gabriel stared at her in shock, unable to move. Nothing in the world could have prepared him for this moment. Gabriel stood in the small room, frozen. His eyes widened. His lips trembled. "Vivian, Vivian," he whispered. Vivian opened her weak eyes slowly. At first she could not see clearly, but when her eyes focused, she froze too. "Gabriel," she whispered, her voice shaking. It felt like the whole world stopped. Before anyone could say another word, Gabriel rushed forward. "Guards!" he shouted. "Carry her carefully. Take her to the nearest hospital now. She must get treatment immediately. His security guards moved quickly and lifted Vivian gently. Austin stood at one corner, shocked and confused. He held Nora's hand tightly. "Auntie, are we going with them?" he whispered, his voice shaking. "Yes, Austin," Nora said softly. "We are going with your mommy." They both followed the guards outside, and one of the vehicles was open for them. Nora climbed in with Austin, holding him close as the door closed. The convoy of Gabriels moved fast, heading straight to the hospital. With Gabriel in one car, the guards carrying Vivian in another, and Nora and little Austin in the third, praying silently that Vivian would survive. At the hospital, doctors rushed Vivian into the emergency ward. They ran tests. They checked her breathing. They checked her blood. They checked how badly the sickness had affected her. After some hours, the doctor walked out to meet Gabriel. "Sir," he said, "he is very sick, but there is still hope. She needs a kidney transplant as fast as possible. If not, her condition will get worse." Gabriel did not waste a second. He turned to the doctor. "Start the process," he said firmly. "Book the surgery abroad. Use the best hospital. I will handle everything." He picked up his phone and began making urgent calls. His voice was firm. His heart was shaking. He was ready to move mountains for Vivian. While all this was happening, he also remembered Alliston and Nora. He turned to one of his guards. "Take the boy and the young lady to my house. Make sure they are comfortable." Nora was stunned. "Sir? Why do you care this much? How do you know Austin's mother?" Gabriel only replied, "You will understand later. For now, please take care of Austin." Nora looked at Austin's worried face and agreed. "Okay, sir. I will stay with him." She squeezed Austin's hand gently as the guard led them to the SUV. They drove off to a part of the city filled with beautiful houses, Gabriel's mansion. Austin stared out the window in surprise. "Auntie, are we going to live here?" he asked. "For now," Nora said with a small smile. "You are safe." Within 3 days, everything moved fast. Gabriel arranged every document needed. He cleared medical bills, and Vivian was flown abroad for the surgery. Gabriel offered to donate his kidney. The operation took hours. Doctors worked carefully, and finally the operation was successful, but Vivian had to stay in the hospital for a few days to recover. Days later, when Vivian had gathered a little more strength, she heard slow footsteps entering her ward. The room was quiet. She opened her eyes gently, and then she saw him. Gabriel. He stood beside her bed, moving carefully because he was still recovering from donating his kidney. His face looked a bit tired, but his eyes were soft and full of care. He pulled a chair closer and sat down slowly beside her. "Vivian," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "You are safe now." Vivian blinked, confused. What happened?" "Gabriel, why did we lose contact? Where did you go? I wanted to tell you that time. I wanted to tell you I was pregnant. Austin is your child. I wanted you to know." Gabriel leaned closer and held her hand gently. "Vivian," he said softly. I know now." Vivian's weak eyes widened a little. You know?" Gabriel nodded slowly. "Yes. When I came back to country, I went to the old compound where we used to live. An elderly woman there. She remembered me. She told me everything. She said shortly after I left, you found out you were pregnant. She said life became hard for you. She said you became sick and had to move away." Vivian's eyes filled with tears. Gabriel continued, his voice shaking with emotion. "When I heard that, when I heard you had a child, my child, it pushed me even more. I told myself, I must find you no matter what. That is why I searched everywhere. That is why I did not stop." Vivian covered her mouth with her weak hand as tears slipped down her cheeks. "Vivian," he said softly, "you are my heart And now that I know Austin is my son—" He paused, holding her hand tighter. "I will never let both of you suffer again." Vivian let out a slow breath, half pain, half relief, as tears rolled down her face. "Vivian," he said softly, "I was attacked in a dark street abroad. My phone was stolen. I lost all my contacts. I didn't know your number by memory." Vivian listened quietly. "I tried to reach you, but no one knew where you were. I worked in a small restaurant while studying. I saved money and bought a new phone. I found an online course. I learned it, and it changed my life. That course made me a tech expert. I co-founded a company, and I became successful. I plan to come back here and find you." Vivian covered her mouth, tears rolling down her face. "Gabriel," she whispered. "I thought you forgot me." "Never," he said softly. "Not for one day." Both of them cried and hugged each other. Their hearts finally found peace after years of pain. Vivian asked suddenly, "Where is Austin? Is he okay?" Gabriel smiled gently. "He's fine. He's with the food seller in my house. They are safe." Vivian let out a weak breath of relief. Weeks passed slowly, and both Vivian and Gabriel recovered slowly. At the end of those weeks, they were finally discharged. It was time to go home. Vivian walked slowly toward the SUV that had been arranged for them. Her legs were still weak, so Gabriel held her gently and helped her sit well. The driver closed the store and drove them straight from the hospital to the airport. They flew back home. When the plane landed, Gabriel's driver was already waiting for them at the airport. The driver drove them straight home. Inside Gabriel's mansion, Austin and Nora sat together on the long couch. They had been waiting almost impatiently. Austin kept looking at the door with worry written on his small face. Suddenly the door opened. Austin's heart stopped for 1 second. Then he saw her. "Mommy!" he screamed. Vivian opened her arms wide. "My son!" Austin ran straight into her arms, crying and laughing at the same time. "Mommy, you can walk," he said, holding her tightly. "Yes, my child," Vivian whispered. "I can walk again." Nora stood from the couch, shocked and happy. "Auntie Vivian, look at you," she said with a smile. "You look strong, thank God." Vivian smiled, but then her smile slowly faded. Her face became calm, serious, thoughtful. She looked at Gabriel standing beside her. Then she looked at Austin. "Austin," she said gently, "come sit down. Mommy wants to tell you something important." Austin sat slowly, still holding her hand. Vivian took a deep breath. Her voice was soft but steady. "My son, this man standing beside me, Gabriel, he is your father." Austin blinked. His small mouth opened in shock. "My father," he whispered. Nora covered her mouth, shocked. Everything suddenly made sense to her. She now understood why Gabriel cared so deeply, why he moved fast to save Vivian, why his eyes softened any time he looked at Austin. Gabriel moved closer and kneeled in front of Austin. "Austin," he said softly, "I know I was not there when you needed me. I know I was not there when you were born. But I promise you from today, I will always be here. I will never leave again." Austin did not know how to react. His eyes were full. His hands shook a little. He only nodded slowly with a small, shy smile. "Okay," he whispered. Gabriel hugged him gently. Vivian turned to Nora. "Nora, thank you for helping my son. Thank you for feeding him. Thank you for seeing him and caring for him when I could not stand. You made him feel loved." Nora's eyes filled with tears. "Auntie Vivian, I only did what was right," she said. Gabriel nodded. "Nora, you helped my family before I even found them. For that I am grateful." He paused for a moment, then asked kindly, Nora, would you like to grow your food business? Nora smiled shyly. Yes, sir, but I want to finish school first. I have been saving for it slowly. Gabriel nodded again. Nora, where do you stay? I stay alone in a small one-room place, she replied. Gabriel nodded slowly. Tomorrow, he said. I will get you an apartment. A good one. A safe one. Nora's eyes widened. An apartment for me, she whispered. Yes, Gabriel said. You deserve a better life. The next day, Gabriel drove Nora to a beautiful building and a fine part of the city. He handed her a small bunch of keys. That apartment is yours, he said. You will live here. Nora stared at the keys in disbelief. Thank you, sir. I don't even know how to say thank you. Gabriel smiled and shook his head. You don't need to. You helped my son. This is the least I can do. Gabriel also began planning Nora's future. He knew running a food business and schooling together would be too much, so he arranged workers who would work directly under her name. Days later, Gabriel asked them all to enter his SUV. No convoy this time, just one car. They drove into a big complex. Nora stepped out first. Her eyes widened as she saw a big new restaurant with a bright signboard. Nora's Kitchen. She covered her mouth in shock. That is my name, she whispered. Yes, Gabriel said. This is your restaurant. I got this place for you. Workers will run it while you are in school. Nora's tears fell slowly. Is this real? She asked with a shaking voice. It is, Gabriel said. Then he handed her an envelope. Nora opened it slowly. Her hands shook. Her eyes widened. It is my admission letter, she whispered. I got into school. Yes, Gabriel said warmly. Your future is waiting. Weeks passed. Vivienne became stronger day by day. Nora began preparing for her studies. The restaurant opened fully. Their lives became bright again, little by little. One quiet evening during dinner, Gabriel cleared his throat. Vivian, he said gently. She looked up at him. Gabriel stood from his chair, went down to one knee and held her hand. Let's make everything official, he said softly. Vivian, will you marry me? Vivian covered her mouth, tears filling her eyes. Yes, she whispered. Yes, Gabriel. Austin jumped with joy. Gabriel hugged Vivian tight. The next 2 months they had a beautiful wedding. Vivian's life was restored. Austin's dreams returned. Nora's future opened wide, and Gabriel finally had the family he lost for years. A few days later, Gabriel began preparing their travel documents. He wanted Vivian and Austin to move abroad with him so they could live together as a happy family. 1 week later, everything was ready. They packed her bags, said warm goodbyes to Nora, and traveled abroad to start a new life filled with peace and hope. Nora stayed behind, but her life was no longer the same. She continued her education, lived in her new apartment, and her restaurant business grew stronger every day. She never forgot the lesson that changed everything. One act of kindness can open doors that no one ever expected, and it can change a life forever. In the end, this story reminds us of something very important. One small act of kindness can change a whole life. One moment of love can save a broken heart, and one helping hand can lift a family from pain to joy. Nora did not know that giving food to a hungry boy would open the door to miracles. Kindness never dies. It always finds its way back. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it always returns with blessings. My dear viewers, what do you think about this touching story? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. I would love to read from you. And guess what? In a few days, I will upload another very interesting story. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification bell so you will be notified immediately the story drops. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button and share it with